Max Payne Gachi crew, what's happening? Today we have episode 6, Gifted and Not. I got a question for you guys. Have you ever watched Lord of the Mysteries yet? It's okay if you haven't, because this episode has mystery for us. We start off with Chitoni taking notes of every battle, it seems. I didn't know how their vital instrument works. Is Chitoni a guy or a girl, by the way? I'm not sure right now. But it seems that not only can they create the warp holes, but they can see through them actively, which is a pretty great support instrument. This episode is primarily focused on 2 of the battles. And in one, we're not even having a battle yet. Bro and Deer versus Bundas. Or maybe we can call it a battle. A different type of battle. A battle of information. Because Bundas, he's on some vibe where he's like, I have my own goals. Zodal called me here to do what I gotta do, but I'm here to do what I want to do. And what I want to do is get some information on your boss, Corvus. And if you tell me, I'll give you some information in return. So this throws bro off because he's like, what? Why do you want to know about him? Dare is kind of funny. He's just here making faces the whole time. But something I noticed about Dare is that he does have a high level of perception. He's able to see these little bugs crawling around that seem to be coming out of Bundas' vital instrument. I have no idea what his instrument is, by the way. And what comes out of it aren't really bugs. I don't know how to describe it realistically. They look like fingers with arms mechanically put on. I really don't know. It's on the screen. Don't spoil, but somebody describe it a little better for me in the comments. I'd appreciate it. We do get a scene of Corvus and something insanely interesting happens. And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to mystery. The tattoos on the back of his neck moved. He has like an eye on the back of his neck. And when Semiyu pulls up in the room, the eye literally moves to react and sees her. I don't know if he had perception that it was her, because it's not like he was turned around and he was like, oh, Semiyu. But the eye moved and then he turned around and greeted her. So this is very, what is that about? Semiyu comes into the room. She informs Corvus of the situation and she's like, yo, you never wear your communicator around your neck. Like, this could be so much easier if you did that. And that adds even more mystery to Corvus, because why, as the cleaner boss, does he not want easy access to himself? When we get back to the conversation between Bundas and Bro, the battle of information, Bro does say, hey, look, I'll answer some questions, but only what I want. Bundas asks him random ass questions about Corvus, like, what's his favorite food? What does he do in his free time? And it's funny because Bro don't really know too much, but Bundas does give information in return. He tells Bro the Raiders' job right now is to finish up their matchups and feed the cleaners to some trash beasts that they've been cultivating, which seems kind of insane because based off what we've seen so far from Zodal, he's not that violent. But that idea and concept to feed the cleaners to trash beasts is a pretty violent idea. He's not just trying to knock them out, but we'll talk a little bit more about this man's psychology in a second. After Bro gets the information, he's like, this doesn't feel like an equivalent exchange of information. What's going on here? But Bundas is like, no, it actually was. You told me a lot of what I need to know. Not only did you tell me that Corvus enjoys to eat sweets, which humanizes him, but you also let me know that the fact you guys barely know anything about him proves that he's really secretive, not only to those outside of the cleaners, but even to you guys. That definitely opened my mind a little bit when it comes to him, right? Now let's talk about Zodal and Rudo's encounter in this episode. Well, it's not an encounter. They've already encountered each other, but it's a continuation of the conversation that they're having, in which Zodal, through his words, starts to reveal a bit more about himself. He used to look up at the trash falling from the sphere and came to the conclusion like the sphere is a place of abundance. There's certain things that he says in this episode that are backed up visually that really paint a picture that seems like we'll be diving more into as time progresses. One thing he says is how sometimes fallen trash beings, remains of species that have never been seen before on the ground, fall down to the ground. And what we see is a horse head. And I feel like that really ties into the cult of it. It feels like that ties ties into what Bundus was saying in terms of the cultivation of trash beasts. There's a lot of small hints in this show that are adding up, especially when you look at the ending visuals and you see Zoro in front of a trash beast. If we recall back in episode 2 or 3, when we first were fighting trash beasts, Rio found a piece of a vital instrument in the big ass wildebeest. That has to do with the raiders. It just has to. Zoro also mentions how there are groundlings who see trash falling from the sphere and they worship it as blessings from heaven. And it seems crazy, but something we see is in the midst of all of this, Baby trying to get away, and one of the worshipers is holding him down as they pray and as trash is falling. And I assume that is Zoidal as a child. He talks about, in a sense, how crazy it is, but to them, it's common sense. And if you try to fight it, they're not having it. And I feel like this is the seedling of Zordal's backstory. He also eats a roach, which is pretty crazy, mentions shocking the system and that Jabber did it to Rudo, and maybe it's possible it might happen to the person matched up against him, Zanka. And that brings us to Babe Putters. That brings us to the fight of the day, Jabber versus Zanka. We see Zanka, we see Jabber in full power mode, his super claws. I don't know what we call it, man. Is that the true form of his vital instrument, or did his vital instrument level up into that? It's crazy, it's insane, but the fight, man, was a true movie. We know how Jabber moves based off the way we saw him last time. And even Zanka, who is usually pretty stoic, he's like, damn, I'm out of ideas. But he had true fighting spirit. We get a little flashback of him and he's looking at this girl with a sword and he's just very determined to prove himself. He views himself as mediocre in a world where there's always prodigies, there's always geniuses that you have to compete with, but he keeps striving for more. And that's so real. And him and Jabber are going back and forth. The action's really great. Ultimately, Jabber does get him with a claw strike, his toxic claws. And in his full power mode, his claws have his 3 latest toxins in it. So the new one he just absorbed, the paralyzing one, and also some third one. And Zanka is looking hurt. He's looking real hurt. He's on the ground. He can't move. I feel like I'm not giving him enough credit for the fight that he did put up. I'm kind of skating past the fight. I just want to let you guys know that the fight is insane. The animation is so fire. But at the end of the episode, it looks like Jabber's let down by the fact that Zanka couldn't push him even further. Y'all know what kind of guy Jabber is. He's thirsty to get her. To close out the episode, he injects his claw right into Zanka's chest. Insane cliffhanger. Paint Putters. Let me see what you guys had to say about last episode. Blue Roses, what's happening? Fantastic video. Zoro doesn't come across as a person that would lie. I honestly don't think he knows who Amo is. That could be a real thing, honestly. Like in the intro, I think we do see Amo chained up, but we've yet to see what actually has happened to her in the story. Is she actually chained up, or is that just a scene in the intro? Watchmen series Canis, what's happening? 9 out of 10 want Jabber's name engraved into his jinky vital instrument. I got chills. Whoo! So I know you was going crazy with this episode today, because this episode today, Jabber really showed out. I really hope it's not the end for Zanka, man. The aura behind his vital instrument dimmed. That was very nerving. I'm scared to see next episode. 3W, what's happening? Brother, Noord is my new anime waifu. When her hair goes full electric, I fell in love. Listen, Warriors, I'm not gonna lie. I'm Team Rio. I see the vision though. Frankie in the Brain, WPFP, Pinky in the Brain, true classic. Manga Metalhead put me onto your channels. Gachiakuta videos, great videos. Shout out Manga Metalhead. Shout out you, Frankie. Thank you. I appreciate y'all for pulling up Paint Putters. Let me know what you guys think about this episode. Oh, by the way, I'm putting this episode in S tier. I have to. It was amazing. Let me know where you guys rate it. Hit that like if you made it this far. Hit that sub if you're new. See you guys next episode.